Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Biz Birthday Bash podcast. We are so excited today to be talking all about inventory for noobs. And believe us, we are also noobs and learning right beside all of you. So Cami's big disclaimer is that she is still very, what would you say, Cami, in the early stages of getting organized?
Not in the early stages. I am pure chaos, is what I would say. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
but not really. No, I'm just. There's a lot to learn with inventory. It seems like it's like, oh yeah, you just like count how many things you have, but there's like so much more under the inventory umbrella as you grow that just becomes like figuring things out and like forecasting and understanding how to overstock and not overstock and not understock and find the sweet spot. And there's just a lot that goes into it. So I'm definitely still learning, and this is probably the biggest pain point and challenge in my business. So we're going to just talk through some of the things that I've struggled with, some of the solutions I've found, and some of the ones that I'm like, I am still trying to figure out how the heck to do this. So it's going to be a fun episode.
It'll be especially fun because whenever we get into brainstorming mode, things get fun really fast. So I'm sure some ideas are going to get tossed around because I'm going to be like, what if you do this? And Cami will probably be like, I tried and it didn't work. Just kidding.
Yes. There's like so many other cool like software and other like tools you can use for inventory that I feel like I've just kind of like scratched the surface. And so even when I was like trying to get my notes in for this episode today, I was like, oh, look at this thing as someone recommended. So literally I have like 5 trials happening with different softwares today because I was like, let's see what this one does. Like, I don't know, just trying to test it out because you don't know until you try it. That's kind of the thing. You can't just like, go from everyone's suggestion. So I mean, a couple of them, like I logged in, I was like, I hate this. Like, I hate this so much, and it's not going to work for me. But there are really a ton out there. So, I mean, Elizabeth's dad runs one. So, shout out to Shopinventory.
Yeah, he does. I am sure I will talk about it because why the heck not?
Yeah.
Actually, Cami, you and I have said forever that we want to have an episode with each of our dads, and we just need to do it already. So I'm making a note, like,
and you know what today is?
Now.
Today is
Pop's birthday?
It's Pop's birthday. Today is March 5th.
Aww.
Papa G's birthday. He's 72. So yay.
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 Yeah, I'm literally taking a second to write down the fact
that is a good idea.
Do I need to do this? Yep. Cami's dad, Elizabeth's dad. And then I'll come back to this later and refine it. Anyways, everybody, back to inventory.
Oh my gosh, but think about trying to get Pop on a microphone. I'm going to have to do it when I'm with him. Sorry, that's a whole other tangent. Like, he's going to have no idea how to get on the internet.
That's true. Your mom can probably help him, Cami.
Oh, no.
I'm sure somebody there can help him.
Elizabeth, no one can help him. They are not good. I will just do it next time he visits or I visit him. We'll do it that way. That way I can just have it ready to go.
What am I thinking of, like that gif where it's like, no, this is no good. Like, what movie? This is no good. Like, in my head.
I don't know.
This is no good.
Oh gosh, no. I don't know what gift that is, but I mean, we can give it a shot. I'm just not making any promises.
Yeah, that's true. Well, my dad's not technologically challenged. I'm just kidding. But he's actually not. Like, he'll be totally fine.
He'd be fine. My parents.
Oh, Pop.
Good Lord.
Pop.
Good Lord.
Happy birthday, Pop. And also, this is another one of those instances where we are recording like 4 days before the episode goes live. So you're also getting a very real-time look at us currently, which is like, I can barely speak today. I had to start over 3 times. It's fine. We're cool. So, Cami.
Oh, Lord. I know. Everything's just been crazy. Okay, let's get into the episode before we just start, waxing poetic about everything that's going on.
I did forget to read, though, that there was a question that inspired this episode.
Okay. Yeah, read that.
So I am going to read that first, and then we can dive in. This question is from Camille, and she asked us, I'm changing my business line a bit. I've been drop shipping my watercolor designed products. And since COVID, my manufacturers can't deliver quickly anymore. I think I will just manage shipping and stock from my home office. I'm curious about how much stock you keep on hand of stationery, note cards, and other products. I'm nervous about managing shipping myself. What are your best practices? So, this episode today is all dedicated towards best practices of inventory. Because if you want to know best practices for shipping, we've got our Get Shipped Done episodes from last year.
Yeah. So definitely listen to those for the shipping. But first, let's talk about inventory. They're like, okay, we've had enough intros. All right. Number one, you guys, when you're setting up inventory, the real basis, the first thing you got to do is set up your SKUs, which I'm sure you've heard SKUs before. But if you don't know what that means, it's SKU, which stands for stock keeping unit. So basically, it's like a code name for your product. And your SKUs can have all kinds of details that will help you find the product. If you have a ginormous warehouse, which most of us don't, but if you did, organize your inventory or like notate certain attributes of that product, like the size or the color or whatever variation. So this is like the foundation for getting your inventory set up, is having a SKU for each product.
And do you put them in an Excel spreadsheet? How do you come up with these? I'm sure people are like, but how do I pick what my SKU is?
Literally, I think so many questions I always see is like, well, how do you come up with SKUs? Like, what's the process for doing this, or like the way to do it, And honestly, it's literally up to you. Like, just come up with something that is consistent and easy for you to understand. Like, there is no right or wrong way with SKUs. You just need to do something that works for your brand. So here's like a couple of SKU tips. Like for me, my SKUs are for like art print. It's like AP001, AP002, and AP stands for art prints. And then I have like different categories within greeting cards, like TY001, BD001. I'm sure you can figure out what those stand for. And like different collections, I have the different, like the 2 letters and then the 3 number. That's kind of like the formula I use for my SKUs, but you could do it like, if you're more of a numbers-based person, you could set it up in categories. Be like, okay, so 10 is the category for cards, 20 is the category for prints, and 30 is the category for mugs. So any SKU that starts with 10, is a card. So like 1001 would be like a card, 1002 would be another card. Does this make sense? Like you can do it numbers, you can do it with letters, literally anything. I like to keep mine kind of short and sweet with the 2 letters and then the 3 numbers. I would just make sure that you leave enough room for growth with your SKUs. Like don't do like only 2 numbers where you can only go up to like 99. That's why I have the 3. I can go up to like 999 within that product category. So keeping it like that. Yes. I mean, and like if you look at things you're buying from bigger stores, like they really drill down on this sometimes. Like they have clothing, like if they have like a men's shirt that's made of cotton that's red, it's a specific design. Like M might be the code for men, and then the code for cotton is 10. The color code for red is 17. So it's like M1017-S for the size small. Like you can do all kinds of things, and all these different numbers can mean something. And like once you have your kind of formula for SKUs, I mean, you can do all kinds of different things with it. And like, I could tell you like almost exactly like which one is which SKU. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I know SSO13 is like the certain Easter card or whatever. And like, you just start to memorize things like that. But yeah, you can make it as specific as you want, or as like, larger base, like mine as you want. Just make sure it works for you.
Yeah, this is always really fascinating to me.
Yeah. I mean, and you don't want it super duper long. Like, don't be like, oh, this SKU is 1072-125B or whatever. That's like really long. And don't start your SKUs with zeros, because they don't show up on like spreadsheets. You have to do like a special little thing. So like some systems wouldn't recognize if it was like just 001. It would just show up as 1. So keep that in mind as well. And then once you have these SKUs, you can start to add them to a spreadsheet and then start adding all the details for your products in there. And like some of my products, like if I have different variations of sizes or cards they come in a box set. So like a certain card, like a thank you, like TY001 is the single card and TY001-B is the box set. Does this make sense? So it's the same product. It just has a slightly different SKU. So I know like which design it is. Same with like art prints. I do just like -8x10, -11x14 on there. And if it's something that has a different variation, like some of my city prints include the city lettering, or you can get it without. So I'll have like 8x10-Y for yes for the lettering, or -N for no lettering. And so there's 4 different SKUs for that one product, if that makes sense. It sounds way more confusing than it is, you guys, but I promise you it's not that difficult.
It doesn't sound confusing. It's like my mind is more just like, how do you organize it all, I guess? So you said, Cami, that you did not have SKUs early on in your business and you wish you had started sooner. When did you start doing this, if I can ask?
I think like 2 years ago, I started adding in SKUs, but I didn't really like do anything with it. I was just like, oh yeah, this has a SKU or whatever. Like, but I never like utilized actually keeping track of inventory. So if you're like hearing this and you're like, I don't need that yet, well, just go ahead and set it up anyway, because it's going to make your life so much easier as you grow, and you're able to like actually track like data on it, because you might change the title of something or like change the SEO title tags on Etsy, but you'll always have that same SKU. So no matter if it's like a different title on Etsy versus Shopify, the SKU is the same. So you can have that same data for that SKU, which is really helpful. And basically any inventory software doesn't work without having those SKUs. So just set yourself up for success early on. And how I organized it at first, because it's a lot easier to just put it into a spreadsheet at first than putting it into any inventory software, just so you can see it right off the bat. It's also really cool to see like how much of a product you actually have, like how many art prints you really do have or greeting cards, and see like, oh, I need to grow in this part of my line or whatever, and just whatever makes sense. Like I separated out my categories of greeting cards because it was important for me to be like, okay, I see I have 10 birthday cards. I need to grow that a little bit. Or I only have 3 thank you cards. So let's grow that category. And just like some of my other categories are like fall, winter, and spring, summer. And like any Christmas cards or Halloween cards all fall under that same SKU, because that just made sense in my brain. Like you could do just Christmas cards or whatever. That's just how I did mine.
Yeah. So does the SKU start with for the holiday things?
It's FW for fall, winter. So any fall, winter, like seasonal cards fall under that category.
Okay. Yeah.
And then SS is spring, summer. So any spring, summer holidays like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter, because some of those, like I kind of wish I had separated out Christmas from fall, winter, because I have so many more Christmas cards than fall cards. But at this point, it's already done, and it really doesn't matter. Like even if I went back and changed that, it's not going to like affect the sales of my cards. That's what I'm saying. As long as it makes sense to you, it's okay. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember at one point when you started putting like your entire SKU spreadsheet together, I think you shared it with me, and I was like, holy cow. Because like Jacqueline was helping you do something with it, or
yeah, we're like still working on syncing up all the SKUs with like every sales channel and making sure they're all correct. Because I mean, you'd be surprised too, like just like you accidentally have like a little typo and it just ruins your whole day. So you got to like go in and find those things. And there's just it's a lot. It's a lot, you guys. Plus things are like constantly selling, but we'll talk about that a little bit further down. But yeah, so I just basically now add on a different SKU category for each category I add on, like notepads, party pennants, pencils. They all have their own like separate little SKU category.
Is a party pennant PP?
No, it's PT. Something else is PP. Oh yeah, PP is party punchies. I know, and it's so funny because it's like PP001. It just looks like poo, and I'm like, oh my god.
Great.
I mean, so
mature.
I know. Sometimes, like when I introduce something, I'm just like, Jacqueline, come up with a SKU. I don't even care. Like, just do something.
Yeah, you're like, please, just
like,
do it. So
everything kind of makes sense, though. You know.
Yeah. Before you had your SKUs set up, what were you doing for inventory? Because I'm sure there are people in a place who, you know, if you have like 10 products, 15 products, you're not selling a ton of things, that they can technically manage inventory without SKUs. But I mean, I'm sure SKUs would just make their life easier. So like, what were you doing, I guess, before you got to the point where you started assigning SKUs?
Literally look at a stack and be like, that looks kind of low. I should probably order some more. That was literally what I was doing. I mean, I still kind of do that a little bit now, honestly.
Okay.
So like, oh yeah, it's getting low. Or be like, oh crap, I sold something I didn't have, which still happens all the time now. I have so much stuff in stock, and it's like, without fail, someone will order like the one thing I'm like out of stock, and I'm like, how did they find this? I don't understand.
Cami, I think you realized at one point you were ordering stuff from your print vendor every single day. And that's when you were kind of like, I need to get my ducks in a row because this is, like you said, pure chaos.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I am wasting so much money on paying for the shipping charges for ordering inventory like literally every day. So that's when I was like, I really got to like get this under control and figure it out, especially as I'm like kind of starting to grow, because it wasn't as big of a deal, but like as you grow, it becomes a much bigger deal. Like seriously, it's like more money, more problems. But you know what I mean? Like every time you grow, you just get more problems. It's like so much easier, a little more chill. So just don't take those days for granted, guys. But I'm not saying I'm like huge or anything, but literally every time your business grows a little bit, there's just like so many more things to be aware of and keep track of. It makes it more difficult. So I was like, I got to get this like straightened out. Inventory's always been a pain point, still is. So once I kind of did that, I was introduced to my inventory software that I use now, which is super duper helpful, which brings me to my second point about picking an inventory management software. And if you use Shopify or Etsy, they do have like inventory counts within, their sales channels. But my huge problem was that when I would sell something on Etsy, my inventory wouldn't update in Shopify. So nothing was like ever up to date. Like I would have to manually do it or remember to subtract this or whatever. And sometimes if I just renew a listing, I would just be like, I have 20 of these in stock. And I would just add that even though I had nothing in stock. So I didn't actually know what I did have in stock and what I didn't, because I was able to get things really quickly from my printer. So it kind of made me lazy in terms of keeping up with things. But my inventory management software I use now is called Trunk. And the real main reason I started using it is because it links up all your sales channels. So it integrates with Etsy, Shopify, and Faire for me. So those are like the three big ones I use. And it automatically syncs up the inventory in real time. Like if I sell something on Etsy and it goes down from like 15 to 14, it'll sync across all of my sales platforms automatically without me doing anything, which was like literally the biggest game changer of all time. Because there's a lot of inventory management software that doesn't sync.
When somebody orders a box set of 6 kinds of cards, does it subtract from the original SKU or from the box card set? Because that always trips me up. It's like the box set is 6 of the one card. So how do you like differentiate those in the system?
The other amazing thing that's probably my all-time favorite thing about Trunk. And by the way, you guys, if you want to try it out, I do have a little thing. You can get 2 free weeks with my link. You can just go to CamiMonet.com/inventory, and that'll take you to the Trunk. So you can try it out for 2 free weeks. But the best part is like this, when I figured out I could do this, like I was talking to their chat and I was like, this is what I really need. They're like, oh yeah, we actually have that feature. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? And he was like, no. I was like, I love you. So it has this thing called bundling and kitting, which means basically when I sell that box set of 6 of that one card, it'll subtract 6 from the original SKU number. Okay. I know this is going to be kind of hard to explain. So let's say I have like, my assorted sets. Like I have an assorted set of Christmas cards that has 8 different cards in it. So 8 different SKUs. I can say, hey, on this box set, I'm just going to say box 001, I can add components to that and be like, the components for this are FW001, FW002, FW003, and say, this is what all the single cards that are in this box set. And then when someone buys that box set, it'll update the individual cards as well. Isn't that amazing?
Well, that is amazing.
I know. It is so amazing. So not only do you have, and then you can see you have an accurate amount of how many box sets you can make from the cards you have in there. So if it's something like you don't sell separately, like what's something else that I have? Okay. So like pencils, like I sell those in a set of 7. But when I order the pencils, the amount I get is not necessarily like divided by 7. So I'll just say, hey, this is how many pencils I have in stock. So I'll create a pencil, make a new SKU just for this on the back end, nothing to sell, and be like, make everything fun, pencil SKU. Okay, we'll just say like pencil 002-single. And I'll say I have 527 pencils in stock. And then I can say there are 7 of those in this SKU, and it will tell me exactly how many I can make from that amount. So you can put in like, I have 700 stickers in stock, and you can say like, these go on each art print. So you can add that sticker component under each art print and it'll automatically subtract that sticker count. So you can be aware of like your packaging as well. So you can add components, you can do the bundling and kitting thing. You can do like the bundle boxes. I can say, here's what's in this bundle box. So it'll automatically subtract it. It's incredible. Like there's so many cool ways you can do it. Like they have like an example, like if you're selling like bicycles and like you don't just sell the wheel, but you can say like, hey, I have 10 wheels in stock. You can add that as a component too. Like, so you can add components. I hope that I'm explaining this correctly. It's like a lot to kind of, once you see it.
Yes, no, you are. This is blowing me
I
away.
know, that's
like,
why
that
I was
is really
losing
cool.
my freaking mind, because that was another huge hang up, was like assorted sets always threw off my inventory count and ruined my day. Same with like gift tags. Like I sell them in sets of 8, but I order like random ones and then like some get lost or smashed or I use one. I can just go subtract like one gift tag versus, being like, oh, well, I only have 7, so I can take this out. Because sometimes you order like different amounts or your print vendor gives you extras. So you can just keep up with like the individual count and know exactly how many you need. It's brilliant. It's brilliant, I tell you. I know.
That is so cool. So it's like those individual SKUs are like building blocks for another product, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So right now I'm trying to add the components of all the things in my business. This is like the pipe dream that I really want to have done, of like backer boards, print the stickers I use for like box sets, like how many I have in those in stock, like any, like the clear boxes for my party punchies, things like that. So I can keep track of that, in a more like efficient way versus just being like, oh, the looks getting low, just order another 1,000 and see what happens kind of thing. So it would be really nice to like start fresh from that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It can do a lot of things. I'm really obsessed with it. And once again, that's CamiaMonet.com/inventory if you want to check it out. And right now, the platform's like still in beta mode, so it's pretty simple, but it's very intuitive and like super easy to use. And they always are like really receptive to adding new features and listening to their community. So I think it's only going to get more and more robust. So I'm like kind of staying with it for now. And I think it's the pricing is like by how many like sales you do per month. So it like kind of grows with you, which is nice.
Yeah, that is really nice to have stuff like that. I'm going to CamiaMonet.com/inventory right now to like take a little look.
Take a little
look-see.
But yeah, this like literally saved my booty over Christmas because I never did like inventory stuff. I've always been like scrambling. And then I think I added trunk in maybe like October. And I literally was like selling out of my Christmas stuff while I introduced it to my wholesale retailers before I even like offered it up, even launched it. So I was like, okay, like I am suck at inventory management. So like I just was like all over the place. So yeah, so it was super duper helpful. And when I was out of town, I could see like when I was on, going up to Barber and going to visit my family for Thanksgiving, I was able to see like how much I actually had in stock of a product while I was out of town. And I was like, oh, this got super low. I'm going to go ahead and reorder something. So it'll be there when I get back, which made things so much easier. And so I'm able to just like go through once a week and like see what's low and place an order for something, which is still too much reordering, but definitely better than the daily I was doing before.
Yes, exactly. Definitely so much better. I mean, it would be really cool if you get all those components because then it's like there's a clear sleeve per every single card.
I know.
And
yeah.
Just down to like the most minute details.
I know.
Have fun with the ribbons. I don't even know
ribbons,
how you're supposed to keep track of that.
They're pre-cut, so I can keep track of it because I know exactly how much I have of each one. Except that I get it like if I get like super streamlined with my party pennants because sometimes I just get excited and add stuff. Like I'll be like, oh, I feel like adding this purple ribbon to this one or whatever. They're all a little bit different, so I could like streamline that a little bit more, I guess. But for now, it's okay.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I could say like I have 18 inches of it. I could do it by inch and say like, this is how much I use on each one or whatever, or like just by the pre-cut thing. I mean, it's crazy. Like there's you can make it really work for a lot. So hopefully get y'all's wheels turning on that because there's a lot you can do with it. And it's really, really cool.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That sounds like an absolute dream. Okay, let's move on to point number 3, which you wrote in all caps, the big count.
Oh, yes. Okay, hold on. One more point really quick about trunk. I just want to mention also that was a really cool feature. They also have where you can say like if an item goes below a certain inventory amount, it'll send you an email to be like, hey, this product's getting low. So you don't have to like literally go check it. So I have mine like set when they get under like 30 that I need to reorder. So that's another cool thing that I really like in a little email because sometimes, you might not be checking something and then all of a sudden it sells out and you're like, what the heck? I thought I was like looking at everything. So another fun little thing that I really like.
I wonder if there's any way to create a Zap for that in Zapier that when that happens, it automatically adds it to your shopping list for the week, if that makes sense.
Do I have a shopping list for the week?
Like
if I made like a little doc that it would go to?
Yeah, a document or an Excel sheet that it would push to automatically.
That would be cool.
So then you just pop in there and you're like, oh, I see that I'm under this, this, and this. And
I bet
it's
so.
zapped over to my Google spreadsheet. And now I have my ordering list for the week.
See, I feel like I have not utilized Zapier to its full extent because it's just like a lot. But I'm like, see, that would be so cool. That's totally something I could do, I think.
Oh, wait. I have to tell a Zapier story for just a second.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Guys, Zapier is amazing. It can connect like anything and everything, like any like major online app you're using. It probably connects to a million things. But I have been following this woman on Instagram and really enjoying all her stuff. I won't name drop, but I was laughing the other day because she was trying to do an integration for her like webinars. And she was like, guys, I really need help. Like someone please send me a name. I'm trying to integrate Thrivecart with Kajabi, with my Kajabi. And she's like, and this is like an incredibly complicated integration that you like need to know coding for and stuff. Well, I go online and I like get on Zapier and I was like, yeah, I could do that in 30 seconds.
That's fine.
I was like, I would do this button and I would hit this button and then the platforms would be connected. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Anyways, I was feeling very sassy and thought it was funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, see, Zapier, like I literally could like poke around on there and start figuring out how more I could use it, but right now I'm just like blown away by Trunk in general. So Elizabeth, come set up all my zaps for me.
I know. I really should just be your office manager at this point.
Seriously. Good Lord.
We joke about it all the time, but I legit could see that happening.
I know. I could too.
Hey guys, we just wanted to hop in and talk about one of our amazing resources, the A to Z directory. All of us have thought at some point, how did she do that or how did she make that? And maybe you don't know where to start or how the heck to produce this amazing product you've dreamt up.
Well, the A to Z directory is the missing puzzle piece in your biz, you guys. Seriously. So it's built in the form of a yearly membership, and it's your one-stop shop for finding suppliers and vendors for all the things. Literally where to print everything from custom invitations, greeting cards, mugs, koozies, acrylic printing, letterpress, custom ribbon. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And it literally goes from A to Z. From acrylic printers to zipper pouches, we have it in the A to Z directory.
We want to help all of you search less and create more with this list of 300 plus vendors and suppliers. Don't worry, they're very organized. It's not going to be overwhelming and confusing when you join. And this membership also includes access to a private Facebook community. It's incredibly active and involved. And if you need a question answered fast, that is definitely the place to go.
Yeah, our Facebook group really is the best. You guys, everyone is so helpful in there. And we're in there too, answering questions you guys might have. So it's a great way to get access to us and ask us things without sliding into our DMs. So we're more likely to answer you in the Facebook group, just saying. Anyway, also in the Facebook group, this is new for 2020 and we're really excited about it. We are hosting monthly Power Hour Q&A sessions that are live, and these are only available to our A to Z directory members. So you can hop in with us live and ask us all your burning questions in real time and just hang out with us every month. And we do these at different times so you can actually be there live, and the replays are always available in the Facebook group for members.
This resource is priced at $147 a year, which honestly is extremely affordable and it's full of so many benefits, such as exclusive vendor coupons for members only. And we would love to have you guys join. Seriously, it's kind of like our family and our tribe. So visit bizbirthdaybash.com/directory to sign up today and use coupon code podcast2020 to receive $20 off your first year. That's podcast, all caps, 2020 for $20 off your first year.
We can't wait to see you in the Facebook group. So the third point is the big count, which is still going on in my world. But basically, this is like the physical counting of everything, which is a bear if you haven't already kept up with it. So yeah, I talked about like counting your packing supplies, putting that into your inventory, which is cool. There's a lot of other inventory things. I think they can still do this component thing as well. This was just like new to me and blew my mind. And then when you're doing your physical counting, it's really important to like take note of what's already been sold that you haven't packed up yet, or something that's like scheduled to sell later, like you have a wholesale scheduled order or something like that. So you don't count that into your inventory. Or if there's like damaged items, because sometimes you get things back from the printer that have like a little black fleck on them, or you smash something, or the cat eats something or whatever. So just making sure to get rid of all the damaged items when you're counting stuff. So I kind of have been doing just like a rolling count. Like I just work everything through on a rolling basis. So like when I sell something, I'll be like, okay, let's go actually like update the inventory for that. I like make note of it in the spreadsheet, and make note that like, okay, this is a paper product. So I need to mark it as like continue selling when out of stock, because I want to still sell it because I can get it reordered pretty quickly because our lead time with our printers fairly quick. Just making sure all these little things are up to date. And if you have returns or refunds or lost items in the mail or freebies you give out, it's really important to actually keep track of those and not skip it. Like I packed up a little box for my Nana of all these different cards, and I was like, oh crap, I just sent her like 50 cards I have to go through. I was like, no, you're going to go through and subtract them all from the inventory. Otherwise it's going to make things worse later on. So I like took the time to like actually subtract them, even though I normally just be like, here, take it. So like, just make note of what you give away, because I give away a lot of random stuff. And I think that got me out for a little bit. So I'm just trying to be more diligent about that.
Is this a thing, Cami? Like people creating barcodes for their own products? So if you did do that, you could just like beep it through a little scanner thing and it would automatically take it out?
Yeah, definitely. You could definitely have a little barcode scanner thing. I'm not that legit with the barcode scanner thing. Alex really wants to set up a barcode thing, but that's like a whole nother bear that I'm not ready for.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, barcodes and like UPC codes, like if you're working with bigger retailers, they will like require their own. So I wouldn't like touch that until you're like working with really big retailers and they require it. I don't feel like it's totally necessary.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So one day that would be awesome.
When you say you're doing a rolling count, do you just like count new inventory as it comes in and like set aside the things that are damaged? Like what does a rolling count mean?
That just means like it's really hard for me to like just be like, oh, I'll take a whole day and count all my inventory, because it's like you might be like, oh, I'm going to go count all my herb prints or whatever. Actually, those are all counted, but then you get sales coming in for them. And so the inventory count is already off basically it has to happen like instantly. Like if I count something, like if I get a sale for like a print, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm going to do that inventory count now if it hasn't been done before. So I can mark it that I'm like, okay, this one is up to date and ready to go. Cause like some of my stuff still isn't up to date. So now I'm just doing it on like a rolling basis, because it's just too hard. You can't be like, oh, I'll just count all these things today and add them in later because it changes. So you have to like do it immediately. So that's kind of how I've been doing it. Like, all my main sellers are up to date, but there's just like some stragglers that I'm just like haven't been top priority that I know I have some stuff in. I don't really know how much. Most of my cards are up to date because that's, a lot harder to keep up with. So I did like make a point to go ahead and get all the cards done. Like before Christmas, I was like, top priority is having everything Christmas, like 100% right and counted for. But like there's still like you have to go back and like reconcile and check things, because sometimes the printer does send you extras or you send something wrong to someone. Like there's always little discrepancies. So it's just good to kind of like when you have a second to like check something, or if a stack looks lower than what it says, like I'm like, wait, that doesn't seem right. Like I don't know how things happen, but they do. So it's just always good to like, maybe do like a quarterly count. I know a lot of shops do like yearly, but right now I'm still working on like getting everything 100% set up. So which is why I'm doing the like rolling counts is what I'm calling it.
Mm-hmm. So that's something like you made up for yourself.
Yeah. But I do think shops do like continue to do like rolling stuff. Like for me, that's just the system. I'm like, okay, someone ordered this. Let me go check that and add that to the inventory count, because no one else can count the inventory. They're not here. Like Jacqueline can link all the SKUs, but she can't count the inventory. So I have like different items on my spreadsheet. It says like, okay, all the SKUs match, but the inventory is not completely up to date. So let me just go make sure it's up to date on 8x10, 11x14, different sizes, all that jazz. So yeah, the rolling counts.
Okay.
It is kind of a thing. I don't know if they call it that, but it is kind of a thing.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, and then like making use of your space as best as possible is like super key as well. So again, this is like inventory is one of those things. It's just like you have to do whatever works for you and like whatever works for your own space. Like put your best sellers in easy to reach places. Like I have a set of drawers in my office, and I have like each one is a different category of prints. Like I have like florals, herbs, cities, animals, let's see, Christmas, and drinks, like all in these 5 drawers. And so I can, is that 5? I don't even know. But so I can go through and like find them quickly through there. It's a lot easier for me to leave them unpacked than packed right now, because that's just the way it works best for me to store them most. And then like cards, I have them stacked in like little envelope boxes that I get from my envelope supplier, and I have them stacked vertically because I can get more bang for my buck in terms of space when I stack them vertically versus like sleeved and horizontal in my little, or like ready to go in my boxes. So it is a little bit of an annoying system right now for me, but it works the best in terms of space. And I have them stored by like category. So I can easily go in and grab them, and I have them labeled, be like, okay, this is a thank you, and these are the SKUs that are in this box or whatever. So it's kind of getting a little more difficult as I'm ordering more of each card. Like when you're only ordering like 50 of a card design, and it's easy to keep them in. But when you're like, okay, I need to order like 500 of this one, then it's like, okay, it needs its own box. And then it just gets, it's a lot. So you just kind of have to like do what works for you. And like knowing your lead times too is really important, because it's all about like balancing the space you have, the lead times for selling out, and like the threshold of everything. Like it's just weird, you guys. It's a struggle. Please help me. But yeah, so the big count. I mean, and you only have like,
it's a huge undertaking.
It is. It seems like it's going to be so simple, and then it's not, because you're like, oh, I counted everything, and then like an order comes in, and you get a return, and then a wholesale order comes in, and you're like, wait, how many is this again? And you think it's just going to be simple, and it's not. So yeah, doing the big count. I mean, it's a big undertaking when you have a lot of product. That's why it's best to just like start as soon as possible, you guys. Like I cannot stress this enough, but start as soon as possible. And okay, so number 4 on my little points here is to, I don't like the word I picked here of taking note, but whatever. We're going to talk about like inventory turnover and like how the heck do you know how much to order? And you guys, this is where it gets a little cloudy because I don't have all the answers on this one. This is still something I'm trying to work out and like understand what kind of strategies work best. And I've seen there's like a lot of different formulas for figuring out, you know, your inventory turnover and all this jazz. But like, I really feel like this is something that's a little bit of data, a little bit of science, and a little bit of trusting, a little bit of art, and a little bit of trusting your gut. Like it's kind of like a little bit of everything, because like you can't really account for, you know, if all of a sudden, like you had a Tiger card and then Tiger King blew up, and so all of a sudden that card starts selling really well for you, you know, those types of things. So it's all about just like, I don't know, being aware of like your lead times and like knowing the trends and being like, oh, okay, this is going to get promoted in a magazine next month, so I need to make sure I order more to offset for that. But you don't know like how many orders are going to actually come in. You just have to like do the best you can. So, okay, it's a little bit of a delicate balance too, between like having too much stock and having too little stock. Like you're really aiming for the sweet spot where you don't have too much stock, where your like shelves are overflowing, but you don't want to have too little, where if someone orders something, it's sold out. This is like incredibly hard for me to figure out how to do this, because I definitely struggled with this, especially at Christmas. Like I said, I was ordering stuff and then I sold out before I even launched it to the public. And I was like, okay, that wasn't enough. And so I reordered again and it still wasn't enough. And I was like, I am not planning this correctly. So guys, I just don't know. But I was reading some articles and it said a good inventory turnover for retail shops is 2 to 4, which is basically like you're only reordering 2 to 4 times a year, I think. So it's basically like your revenue divided by your inventory costs. So if you're really high, then you're not ordering enough at a time. Like if that number is really high, but if it's really low or in the negatives, then you're over ordering. So maybe it kind of gives you a good way to think about your inventory turnover. I think our industry, the number for it might be a little higher than that. So just take that with a grain of salt. I'm just throwing that in there because it's a little tidbit I thought was interesting. But yeah, and also with like that overstock and understock, you have to understand like the ebb and flow of buying seasons, as well as that same ebb and flow for each individual product. So it's like, you know, not only is it like, okay, well, Christmas is obviously a crazy time to buy, but like, you know, your, you know, Father's Day cards are going to do really well around Father's Day, obviously, but like understanding how all these different things work together seasonally and looking at things individually as well as a whole is like a huge part of inventory. And this is the part that is just stressing me out, y'all. Let me just tell you. So I still think I am like over-undering. I've always just been like a little bit more of a, like, I guess like a safe orderer when it comes to stuff. I don't like to have a ton of product in my house as well either. Like, I don't just want to be like, I'm going to order 500 art prints today. I like to like keep it fairly low, like 50 at a time is like now where I'm ordering. Before I was ordering like 10 at a time. So I think it's going to kind of depend on like what your sales volume is and what your storage situation looks like. So those are two main things.
Yeah. What about for people who are running shops that are just a lot smaller than yours? Is there some good advice and tips you can give them for something that might be more realistic for their current situation? Because maybe like they're not struggling with this as much, or maybe they're wondering like, I just launched a new product. How much should I start with just to gauge the interest, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like when I wrote down some points about like how much to order, because literally y'all ask this question all the time, like how much should I order? And I'm like, I don't know. I need more details. So obviously like here's some questions to ask just to like start figuring out how much you really should order of a product. So the first question is, what's your manufacturer printer's MOQ, minimum order quantity? Like what's the lowest amount you can order? Like honestly, sometimes that's a great starting point. Like if their minimum is 10 cards, then start at 10, see what happens. Like that's totally fine to start with the MOQ. I think that's a great starting point. Obviously, it's like the only starting point. So the MOQ is a great place to start. And then the next question would be like, what's the best amount to start minimizing my costs with that economy of scale? Like as you start to order more, the price per piece starts to go down. So you can be like, oh, when I order 10, I only make a profit of this much. But if I ordered 20, I would, triple my profit. So you can start to understand like how to work that economy of scale. So maybe it is more beneficial for you to spend the extra $5 and order double the amount versus just the MOQ. I do want to point out that there is like a sweet spot for this economy of scale. Like when I'm ordering something, if I want to order like 250, like if once you get in the higher numbers, which is not even that high, I guess, but 250. And then I'm like, well, what if I order the next amount up? Like if I just go ahead and push the limits, is that going to make my profit margin down? I really only save like 1 cent per piece. And I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter if I order that much more. So I'll just keep it at 250 versus 350. So there is like a little bit of a sweet spot because you don't want to have a ton of money wrapped up in inventory as well. So definitely something to think about there with that economy of scale. And then another question would be like, what's the best amount to maximize my sales and eliminate out of stockages? So this is where that whole thing of like your order volume, the space that you have, and your lead time of your printers go into this. And I keep talking about lead time, but if you are ordering a product that takes 3 months to get, then you want to stock up and have a lot of it on hand because that's a very long lead time. If you're ordering something that only takes you a couple days to get, like a printed product, then it's not as important to worry about having, a ton of it on hand. Like that's why I think I took inventory so lightly because I was selling mostly paper goods and I was able to get things really quickly with lead time. Like even if I ordered something directly from a printer, I could still turn it around in time to get it to the customer within like a reasonable time frame. But there comes a point where you're like, the lead time, you want to keep it as short as possible to maximize those sales and not have a week where something is sold out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That absolutely makes sense.
Yes. And then another question, the last question, obviously, is how much can I invest right now? So if you only have, $300 to invest in that first product, then you obviously don't want to spend $500 on it. So, the amount of money you have to invest in your business is also a great way to figure out how much to actually order. And then when you're ordering something really big, like a really large order, also think about like cash flow issues because I feel like this can be like a tripping up point. Like when I do a really large order for something that cost me like $10,000 and I'm like, okay, that's a large order. I know I'm going to make my money back, but that's a really big order. I have to make sure I can cover that amount for like the time it'll take me to actually sell that product. Like it's like I'm going to get the product and then sell it all in like 1 week. Like it might sell it all in like 3 or 4 months. So can I actually cover like having some of that money out for 3 or 4 months? So just thinking about that, even though like it might have been a great economy of scale, like you got the best, whatever, think about like cash flow issues, like because you still have overhead in your business as well with like, your website, all these other things, just something to think about. I feel like that's like a really big picture thing, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, this makes me more and more convinced that like having a full-blown inventory
based company is like not something that I'm interested in unless I were to have like a storefront or something, like a place to like manage it in a warehouse. You need like a warehouse manager. Like you don't just need an office manager.
It really is a lot more than you think, guys. I always tell y'all, remember I was like, oh, it's going to be so easy for me to go from wedding invitations and insane clients to having products. And now I'm like, this is just as hard.
Like I feel like just as hard in a million more ways. And the problem that you're running into too was that it was so easy to do everything for the wedding invitations yourself with a little bit of outside help. And now it's like what is it? It's like the buttons on the shirt are popping open.
I know.
Like, I know. It's not fitting. It's just like starting to push a little more.
I know. But that's the thing too, is like products are so much more scalable than invitations, because I was the only one who could do the invitations, but now I'm like, someone can come in and do this if I ever let them. And so it does scale, but there is like a tipping point. And, but yeah, there's just a lot more to think about. And then, I mean, with that, like figuring out how much to order and that inventory turnover, I feel like I'm still I'm like, oh crap, I didn't order enough. Like I'm still selling out of things or whatever. And like, you just got to figure out, but I also like hate having money tied up in inventory that's just sitting. So like when I first introduce a product, I'll try to like keep it. Now my like keep it small is ordering 100. Like I'm just gonna order 100, test out the waters. But before that was like 100. That's insane. But now I'm like 100 is stupid. I sell out of that really fast. Just go ahead and order like 500. Like just do it. But I still get scared. Like it's still scary to like do that. And I think like now I'm becoming more confident and being like, okay, I know if I make this card, I'm going to sell it. Like it's going to sell. It always does now. But like, well, not always. I'm sounding like, I don't know. But yeah, so just being more confident with it too. But
yeah, when you get things shipped, Cami, so like say you do get a shipment of a bunch of greeting cards, is the first thing you do sit down and do a quality check and then sort them and sleeve all of them? Or do they sit in your office for a while and then you quality check as you go when you're packing? Like, what's your process for that right now?
Yeah, right now I'm just trusting that they did the right count and I'm not quality checking them immediately when I get them. So like as I go through, if I'm like packing stuff and I see a crappy one, I'll just like, oh, toss that one, make sure to subtract one from my inventory, like over here or whatever. Like when I'm doing orders, like I'll just set aside the ones that are crappy. And then at the end of the day, I can just like go, well, there's not that many, but like the end of the day, at the end of the week, I can just like have that stack and be like, okay, one of these, or whatever, and just have that ready to go.
Okay. So if you did have like, say somewhere down the line, if you did have a warehouse manager, they could be the one unpacking everything, going through quality checking, counting. I've seen videos of people doing that on Instagram, which is why I like thought about it, that they're like stacking and folding the cards and checking and they're like sleeving them, and then it would be amazing because they'd all be there and you could just like go grab them and be like, nah.
I used to be like so crazy. I was like, I have to sleeve all my cards as soon as I get them. They're ready to go. But now I don't do that because I find that like I still sell a lot of like box sets of 6. And so then I was having to like go undo the ones I sleeve to like make boxes of 6. And so either I need to like make a set amount of boxes of 6 to just like already have some ready to go. But like for now, I just keep them there and I can just grab them and then set them in little piles. And like it works really easily for my brain. And Alex can go through and sleeve and box them for an order, which kind of works, and it takes up less storage space. So I've kind of liked this system. I would like to move to already having them like sleeved and like already like bundled in 6 for wholesale orders and in a box of 6 for having those. But that's just a whole other thing to think about. So right now this works, but that would be one other next step I would really like to have.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I feel like everything you provided is super, super helpful. Are there any things that you need to wrap up and talk about? It looks like there might be one last point. If you're ready to cover that one about just low turn stock and action to take.
Yeah, the low turn stock. And then one more little point about like how much to order and like figuring out inventory forecasting. I didn't really talk about this yet, but inventory forecasting is all about like trying to predict demand, which this is something I'm learning, trying to figure out, you guys. But this is where that like gut feeling and the art form of it kind of comes in. So some of the things to look at when you're trying to like forecast for how much to order for your inventory are like trends in the current sales market. Like when you have something you're like, this is going to be super trendy, I'm going to go ahead and order like double the amount I normally would, or like starting to see something become popular and you're like, I have something that would fit that trend. maybe it's time to like start, buying a little bit more of that, have it on hand, ready to go. Like, I also think it's good to have like reserve stock in place. Like, I'm trying to keep that in mind as well, instead of letting things letting them sell out to like 3 and be like, okay, don't let it go to 0, let it go to 3, because in case you get a no, it's just nice to have that. And also like tracking this year's growth, seeing like looking at your percentages, your data, all that fun stuff. That's where I get really tripped up. Any big sales or promotions you're planning, like if you're doing like a huge Christmas in July sale or something, make sure you have Christmas stock ready to go. And then like sales stats from the previous year, you can kind of look at and say, oh, this is when this card started like spiking it, like during, I don't know, like April, this started picking up. So I should probably go ahead and like reorder that one in April. So looking at things like that to just kind of like forecast. There's just like no way to get this 100% right. It's always like going to be a little bit of a gamble. And I think that's what's like really fun and exciting and interesting, but also super stressful that you don't realize about inventory. And that is my TED Talk about why inventory is the worst. Just kidding. Okay. And then my last point would be to let go of low turn stock. Basically anything that's not selling, it's like, ruining your life. Not really, but old inventory is hurting you. Like, it takes up space, both physically and mentally. So anything that's not selling is not worth your time. So just go ahead, sell out of it, and let it die. It's going to be okay. Inventory is just all about keeping things streamlined and easy. So you got to like basically cut the fat. Like, you can look at your data and be like, this one is just not working well for me. I mean, sometimes I just look at something and I'm over this. This one's got to go. And I'm like, okay, put it half off, get rid of it. Once it's gone, it's out of my line. And it's just a great way to keep your line looking really fresh and clean too. And it's also really nice to get rid of some things to make room for the new. Because I was like, how the heck do businesses like keep adding in new stuff every year? I'm like, I add in new cards all the time. I'm just going to have like 5,000 cards in my line at some point. And I'm like, no, you idiot. You get rid of old ones. Like, okay, so you got to do that at some point. Otherwise, it's just going to be way, way too much. So just let it go, guys.
Yep. Always having to figure it out and cut ties and all that good stuff.
I know. Oh, I hope that was helpful. That was just like a total ramble about inventory, but it really is, it's a doozy, and it's, I'm still working on it, you guys. And as I figure out like more like better strategies for inventory keeping and things like that, we'll definitely do like a follow-up episode. But for now, still kind of tippy-toeing around it. So
yeah. You're getting there. You have made so many huge improvements and strides in the past year. So.
I mean, really, the trunk was the game changer. So guys, like, I love it. I feel like it's the easiest, like most like streamlined one to use out there, because a lot of other platforms, there's so many bells and whistles that it's incredibly overwhelming. And trunk is just like, here's your inventory count. And I'm like, I love the simplicity and I don't need a lot right now. So
yeah, you're like, thank you so much.
It's a great way to get started with it. And I know you're like, oh, it's going to be another monthly cost. But let me tell you, the amount of money you save by not having to reorder stuff because you frantically forgot something is well worth your time.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things. It's one of those expenses that you have to build into your business if you're doing product-based stuff. It's just the reality of it. So
yeah,
same thing with transaction fees and credit card fees and all that stuff. Like, we all hate it, but
I know. And
it has to be done.
One of my other sneaky inventory tricks, this is like maybe not even, this is the trick of all tricks. It's because I ordered the same paper stock I used to print my cards and prints on. And sometimes when I'm like out of stock on something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to order one more thing of this, I just want to like get rid of it, I'll just print it at home and mail that. And I'm like, that just saved me so much time because I didn't have to order something. Or like one time I ran out of this Christmas card. Well, that was this year. I ran out of this card and everything was like back ordered and all this stuff. And it was like shenanigans. And I was like, I am going to print them here because for some reason the Live Like There's Snow Tomorrow bunny just like blew up overnight one time. And I did not have enough cards. Or I counted something, I don't know, something went wrong. I was like, I'm printing them here. And like, I had to print like 10 different ones to get the color right. And I was like, we're doing it. And so I did like a whole
my gosh
thing. Oh my gosh. But that like saved my booty for a little bit there. So that's a little trick too, is just order the same paper stock you like to print on. And, if you need to do a couple prints here and there, it might save your butt. Because it definitely saved mine.
Right. Oh, that's wild.
I know. It was pretty great. I was like, I'm getting these cards out one way or the other.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
so overwhelming. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't.
So if anyone still wants to run a product business, just go to cameraman.com/inventory and get your inventory thing.
Oh, so funny. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today to talk about this. I really enjoyed learning more about it because inventory is not a ton I know about. My only inventory experience, it really is like with the ornaments that I sold at Christmas and then counting inventory when I worked at Nordstrom one summer. So I remember like all of us girls were out on the floor just like scanning the barcodes for the shirts because it was like inventory day or whatever. So yeah, not very much knowledge of that. But in terms of housekeeping, if you are liking the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. It means the world to us whenever we see a new one come through. It always makes our day. And if you have any questions, please go to bizbirthdaybash.com, scroll down to the footer and click Q and Cake. You can drop your question there because I think we've got, okay, well, this is the thing is like we have a backlog of a lot of questions that we haven't answered yet, but we haven't had like a lot of new questions come in this year, which is interesting. So I'm like, come on, guys, keep asking stuff. I don't know if we'll ever run out of the ones we currently have, but keep asking because some of the things that have been asked in the past are like duplicates. And so we try not to duplicate Q and Cake stuff. So that's my spiel. I'm going to stop now because I just can't talk today.
Yeah, I bet everyone's going to have questions about inventory after this and be like, what the heck does that mean? So ask your inventory questions. Maybe we can do like a follow-up Q and Cake on it. Or if you have like a tip or something too, you can drop that in there. And so
yes, because there was a Q and Cake we did that was dedicated all to shipping stuff because we had so many questions about shipping. So we could do something really similar for inventory management and quality control and whatever, like warehouse related stuff. With the Cammy's warehouse is like her office in her actual home, by the way.
Yeah, it's not actually a warehouse.
Even though Alex says all the time that he's going to build her a warehouse, but
I know. Well, I don't know if I want to build a warehouse. I don't know if I want something here or not. I just don't know what I want. I might want something offsite so then I can just hire people and they can be out there and I can tan topless, you know? Like which that's important.
Also be so cool though to see you have some sort of like little storefront, but also your warehouse. I have friends, by the way, who like started a warehouse. So maybe we can ask them more questions about that. Like they took their stuff from being a storefront to being all online on the back end.
All right, and we'll get them on the podcast. We need
manages
answers.
The warehouse. I know. I want her to come on the podcast. There's 3 of them that run the business together, but my friend Jenny from college, I like really want to get her.
Yeah, that would be awesome
to talk all about it because they do zero waste products and it's really freaking cool. I was listening to their podcast.
Well, get it. What the heck are you doing? You're basically pitching them to me right now. Yeah, we want to hear from them. Don't want to hear from me being like, I don't know what I'm doing. We need some actual professionals up in here.
Yes. I'm writing that down right now too on our spreadsheet. So
okay, cool.
Here we go, guys. We already have our podcast lined up through the end of June. It's crazy. So.
Oh, we do? Oh my God.
Yeah, we do. I filled a bunch of things in, so you have to go look at our spreadsheet.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, bless it.
Bless America.
All right, everyone. We love you guys so much. We will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Tuning in. Blah. Oh my God.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hey guys, you know we share a ton of free, helpful info here on the podcast, but if you're looking to go deeper, you need our Business Sense for Creatives bundle. This is our foundational resource. We share it all. Our pricing strategies, marketing plans, our favorite print partners, real-life examples of our invoices and workflows, and so much more. Literally, it is amazing. It really is the comprehensive guide for a money-making creative biz.
So with the bundle, you'll get access to our 3 webinar replays, Pricing with Purpose, How to Be Confident When It Comes to Charging Your Worth, People and Publicity, How to Find Clients and Deliver an Awesome Experience, and lastly, Productivity and Processes, How to Run Your Business Efficiently and Get Crap Done.
And not to mention, you'll also get our 3 bonus PDF party favors. What? We've heard from students that these are worth the price of it alone. So the party favors are pricing FAQs, the SEO cheat sheet, and a mini favorite vendors guide to get you started on where to print invitations.
So just to clarify, that is not only 3 awesome video recordings, but 3 bonus PDFs as well that support the content from the videos. So I think it's a pretty good deal.
Totally. It's the best deal out there. And you have lifetime access to it, which also adds to the whole value. So,
woohoo! Don't take it from us, though. Take it from the hundreds of students who have learned from the bundle and have said that these were the best, most real, and informative webinars that they've ever watched. We've seen students double their prices after watching these and totally skyrocket their businesses.
This is our roadmap of how we got to where we are today, so skip the mistakes and speed bumps, doing it the slow way, and let us put you on the fast track to running a creative biz like a boss and pricing for profit and not just pay.
And the best part, this resource is less than $100. Seriously, y'all, it's only $97 and it's so worth that price and much more. So go to bizbirthdaybash.com/bundle to purchase it today.